There you go.
So I don't need to click the recording button.
Nope, I got you.
Okay, real good. We'll just welcome everybody, and Janae and all of you that spoke. Patricia, everybody, thank you so much for your input tonight. I always love the stories as well. The variety of stories is what always is amazing to me. It really does, I guess you would say, validate the concept that if you have a good foundation of nutrition, good basic foundation, that whatever the body has to deal with, it deals with it much, much more efficiently. So if you're joining us for the first time, my name's Cheryl Cortese. I've been with the Juice Plus Company now in this January, it'll be 35 years. Okay. And so it's still hard to imagine. This was going to be part-time. So 35 years later in full-time career, it's just been the blessing of my life, and looking forward to the next 35 years. I love this call because we have, a number of people on, but it's still intimate enough that we can have conversation back and forth if we choose. And I like that a lot as well. Tonight, I'm going to ask Candace to join me, as well as Janae. They have been working to develop out her business. But Candace, as we start, you've done some great calls for us. We know Candace's background is a medical background. She's a physician. Her husband is as well. But let's go back and just quickly tell people a little bit about your own story, because, we've heard the part about you being attracted to the products because of your children, and you're watching their health decline just because of the fact that diet changed from a standpoint of vending machines in the schools, and they began to eat basically junk food. And that had a pretty fast, it showed up with repercussions that were not real great fairly quickly. But tell us a little bit more about, how it progressed from there. What attracted you from your heart, from a product standpoint? Why did you want to share it with people? What attracted you from a business standpoint? Because I'll say this about Dr. Corson, she comes to us with great medical background, scientific information. She has a big business, and she has a business that built out very wide and very strong. And so she not only has a lot of knowledge in the health medical standpoint, but she does from a business standpoint as well. So Candace, I know this is kind of, I didn't tell her I was going to ask her this question. Okay, so, but just tell us a little bit about what attracted you from a business standpoint. Why did it make sense? And let's talk a little bit about how you built that business out to be one of the widest and deepest businesses company-wide.
Well, Cheryl, thank you. I feel like it's just been a pure passion, and it started as a passion to help my children, but knowing that they were part of all children. So if I'm helping my children, I'm going to be helping all children. And all of those children are going to be their peers. It's going to be, their dentists, their teachers of their kids. To me, I see that big picture of community. So when I realized that, and that was thanks to my friend, Susan Wittenbach, who was a brand new friend to me when I met her 21 years ago at an unrelated kind of workshop. It was a personal growth workshop up in rural Wisconsin. And she's from Michigan. I'm from Indiana. We met in Wisconsin. But she just cared about me, knew that I was concerned about my children, that their health had kind of gone off the kilter after the vending machines came to their school. And it wasn't just my kids, it's all kids. And I realized this is happening to everybody. And we now know, 21 years later, it's what we're feeding ourselves. We're feeding the germs in our gut. So when you feed different things, you can go downhill quickly with regard to poorer kind of germs, or you can go uphill in a good way pretty quickly by feeding plants. And we talked about that on the Monday call, which Missy, thank you so much for recording that. And it just came out, and we'll get that out to people. But bottom line, I thought how amazing that this company gives Juice Plus to the children. If you get started, you can add your child. And I think that's amazing. 4 years free Juice Plus, as long as they're using it and wanting it. So I thought, how amazing. I wanted all the parents I knew to know about this. And it was just a pure passion, because I knew if we're helping these children and the whole family, any age group. I love all the age groups. If we're helping them to improve their physiology, how their body's working, that's the essence of the deepest part of healing. That's the centerpiece of medical care. It is how how we change in the right direction, how our body's functioning. And to me, it's always been a joy. I guess one of my biggest passions was helping people not die of asthma. Let's help that not happen. And it's all about empowering them with knowledge and how to help everything to work better, less inflammation, less infections. Well, this nutrition is the pharmacology of food. And that's my passion. My fire is lit by helping people avoid or recover from infectious diseases and everything else, whether it's diabetes, cancer, high blood pressure. But infectious disease is just, I'm passionate about it. And you just can't do a good job if you don't have the right germs in your gut and the right food to feed them, which is plants in a broad rainbow of different species. So I just became passionate about it. And I didn't even think of it as a business, Cheryl. I had no business knowledge because no one in my family around me, mom, dad, aunts, uncles, nobody was in business. It was all, education or, the sciences, that kind of thing. And so it was an advantage. I remember Susan and her sponsor, Cynthia Goffer, saying, "Hey, you've got an advantage. You don't have anything to unlearn." And that turned out to be true.
And I love the call you did on Monday night. If people did not hear that on Monday night, you definitely want to get the recording, because Dr. Corson does such a great job of really explaining, why and how the plants make such a difference in the body. But you did grow one of the biggest businesses, out there. And
Yeah,
so,
and I've got two ideas, Sharon. I didn't mean to interrupt you, but go ahead.
no, go ahead if you want
Two
to.
ideas on how that came to be, because it wasn't a business in the beginning for me. It was a pure mission. And of course, Jay Martin calls it a mission-driven business. And it just fits. I know my husband looked at me one day years ago. He said, "You know what? This business is just right for you." I said, "Yes, it is. It's my highest values are matched by this company." So the two biggest pain points that I have had were, one, recognizing that in the field I had studied, which is allopathic medicine, the MD kind, that people are getting sicker and sicker, younger and younger. And the medication only approach flat out doesn't work. I'm not putting down drugs. There's a time and place. I'm not putting down the doctors, the nurses. They are awesome human beings. They want the best for their patients, but the nutrition piece has been left out for the most part in at least in our country, in our medical and nursing training. So when I began to really realize, people are getting sicker and sicker over and over again, younger and younger, people with getting autoimmune illnesses of all kinds and names, younger and younger, down to 9 years old or even younger with autoimmune illness, which we did not see when I was in medical training. The changes are profound, and it's environmental damage. And that became sad for me. And I got to the point eventually I did not want to do allopathic office-based medicine anymore. I'm thankful for my peers that are in the trenches. We need them. But I remember the last patient that I saw before I realized I have got to change was a little 3-year-old who had an ear infection. His mom had him in there. She was my medical partner, her practice, as her patient. But I was seeing him for the first time, and mom was so mad at me because I was trying to share how I would treat. I had 4 little boys at my house, my sons, how I would treat it if it was one of my boys, this ear infection. I would not use antibiotics in this particular situation. And she was beyond upset and started crying. And I said, "I am so sorry. I did not mean to upset you further." She said, "I don't understand, Dr. Corson, why you won't just write the prescription for the antibiotic." And you know what? I wrote it out. I said a quiet prayer just in myself, "Please, may this do more good than harm." But now I know I'm setting him up for who knows what, not only antibiotic resistance, but autoimmune problems, because when you treat over and over with antibiotics, you do set people up, not on purpose, but it's what happens, for more inflammation, more asthma. That's what happened to my son, and more autoimmune. And I realized when she left, I'm not supposed to do this anymore. So that was my pain, Cheryl, and it got cured when I went to my first conference. So 2 months after I signed my application, conference was occurring in March. I signed up in January 2001. Susan called me up because remember we lived in different places. Says, this conference is happening. I said, where is it? She said, San Diego. I said, oh, I hate to fly. If I don't have to. She said, I understand. I'm the same way. But you know what? She gave me the space and then addressed it another time a few days later. And she said, you know what? You just deserve to see the big picture. And you get to meet Cheryl, and you get to meet Cynthia, who's in between, you and Cynthia Goppers and then Susan, and we'll all be there. My husband encouraged me. I went by myself and I saw the big picture. And I thought, this is the answer to the pain I have. I can save more lives. I can empower more women. I can empower more families doing this work, which is actually a joy, than I can in the office all alone with my only tool being a prescription pad. And that was it. I went for it. So that was how it really started for me, Cheryl.
Well, and I've heard you, Dr. Carson, so often say that you could help more people be healthy and be well in this manner than you ever could in the office, because you weren't seeing people just one-on-one. We're all doing it together. And the other thing I really want to underscore here is what she's just shared with you about conference. It really is the place where you get the big picture. You get that passion, you feel it from everybody else. You hear all the stories too, and you begin to be a collector of stories because it is all about the story. So right now, I want everybody to write down on their calendars because we're going to have our comeback conference, I guess you would call it, the family reunion conference, as we step out of this pandemic. October 13th through the 15th. You'd probably want to go in on the 12th for sure to make sure that you don't miss a thing. There are going to be all kind of events that we'll, keep everybody informed of as they develop. But it is the place that, you really feel and capture that energy of the essence of what we're about. So this conference will be the great reunion. And I would really encourage you whatever it takes at this point, because it will be the starting point for a whole new, I guess you would say, reawakening as we go out into the world to make that difference for people with Juice Plus. As we all know, and I really want to commend everybody on this line, anyone who has been a partner during this pandemic time, because we've not only rallied and held our own, we've taken care of each other in the process. And we've really flourished where many companies have not. And so we're very blessed in so many ways. We also are pretty self-contained here in the US because we grow all of our own produce. We own or lease all of the fields where it's grown. It's all done in the US. So, there were a lot of things that were really in our favor, but also it took the commitment and tenacity of the field for this to really carry itself through these difficult times. And the times are still difficult because we see so many issues out there. And Candace, I know you and I have talked about this before, not only the health issues for children, which are just not acceptable, the concerns people have over their health, and rightfully so, and wanting to protect it in the best way possible. And as we hear stories, constantly, people are talking about how whatever their body needed, Juice Plus formed a foundation to help them deal with whatever that issue was. And then, of course, the economic state of inflation, the violence that we see, things of this nature. We really are the people that can help make the difference. And so it's a calling, I would say. So Candace, we're going to be back to you as far as a calling, because I really think that's what you're describing. And as your business began to expand, because I watched Candace over these years as well, as she said, we've all worked very closely together. She's been here 21 years. We look at Susan, her sponsor, Cindy Gompers, who has sponsored Susan. They've been here 20, 30 years. I've been here 35 years. We're here because there's more to it than just the income. There is really that caring for other people. So Candace, as you begin to expand, I know a lot of it was done through events and through three-way calls and those connections of people coming behind helping people. So let's talk just a little bit about that, because I think you and Janae are both in that process right now of helping to build her out. And so we've all done pretty much the same thing over all the years. Tools come along, like how fortunate we are. We can see each other on Zoom no matter where in the world we are. That really is a step above a rotary dial phone, which is what we started with. Okay. But Candace, talk about, how you expand it out to get that width. And width is very important as you put your team together, and what you and Janae are doing at this time.
Yes. So really what I came to realize is everybody deserves to know about the product and the business both, because the choice is theirs. They cannot know about it if we don't share. And I became equally passionate about the business part, the economic part, because the other pain I had in my life was leaving I'll never forget it, my second born child, really all four of my children, but I have this distinct memory when I was in the United States Public Health Service. My second born was just a little guy, 3 years old, and I had to leave him in an inadequate, not good care situation and go and serve and be a medical doctor in a couple of three different counties in medical trailers that we use to see patients. And I will never forget him crying and screaming, which he normally did not do. And I knew this was not right for him, and I didn't have a choice. So I knew it was teaching me something, even at the time, that deep empathy for the mother and the dad, who this is happening worldwide and happening all across our country. The children are disastrously being not served, not because their parents don't love them. Their parents love them very much, but their parents are too strapped economically and time-wise. That's my other pain that I now feel so great about offering that option of sharing this business, because it can take that horrible pressure off and give that child and that parent that bonding time, much more time, if they desire that. I know the children desire it, but the parents usually do too, and they don't have a way out. So we're a way out and into a better life. So what I did is I was just shared with everybody I knew and loved and cared about, and let them know that this was there. And a lot of people came on board as a customer, and a lot of people decided, let me share it too. And I think that the thing that for me, I need to say, and I say it over and over, is you don't need a medical degree, a nursing degree, a health certificate, a Dr. Sears certificate. Just be you. The people who have made the biggest differences don't have those degrees. I'm not putting down degrees. We don't need that. Just be you. You don't need it, because the research is all done. If you even have a person interested in the research, and a lot of people aren't. And you heard Barbara Hood's story that she trusted her friend Barbie, and this is what matters. And it's that gut heart-to-heart connection. So really that's what happened, and the more the merrier. And we did do events. We would do events in people's homes, or my home. We would do events and have people talk, invite a physician. If you can get 100 people or so, the company would so kindly help somebody to come and speak, fly, pay for their flight. They don't pay them to speak, but they pay for that. So they are not paying, their airfare. And we had events, we invited to events, and inviting to events is the number one income generating activity, because it gives people a chance to see the big picture of what we do. So yes, Janai and I are doing scheduled three-way connection times. And I wanted Janai to get to share how that's going. Twice a week, we have it on our calendar that she calls me, and we're going to call the people that she wants me to talk with.
That's right. Yep. Like clockwork, every and 2 times a week, and we set aside an hour. And I'm just so appreciative that we have that time, and we do really try and utilize that full hour, and we do it in a few different ways. Each week as I'm talking with people, I invite them to conversations, and I love knowing that we have those scheduled times. So I know Dr. C is available, and I can schedule people in as I'm talking to them and invite them to a conversation. And pretty much when we get on the phone, I'm stepping back and I'm introducing them, and I'm listening and learning. And, in looking at this business and hearing about connection calls and three-way calls so much from giants in our business, amazing leaders. It's like, why not? Why not do what the leaders are doing? And I just know I have to have faith and trust that this is a powerful activity. And I've seen it, it's really, I love that the focus is about really connecting with others. And, there's a time and place for texting. I love to send texts as much as the next person, but you can't take away the power of connecting and having a conversation together and hearing each other's voices. A couple of recent examples I could share maybe just about that speak to the power, or that were really enjoyable calls. They're all enjoyable. We connect with people and really enjoy that. But a lot of times if we don't have somebody scheduled, we'll leave messages and we'll just call customers and we'll call team members and just connect. And so sometimes we leave those voice messages, and I love it when I hear back. I just picture the people smiling because we, helped to shower some love and on them, and we're smiling and dialing. But one team member recently, a quieter team member, we left a message with just appreciating her. Sometimes we invite them to events, but anyway, this one I really remember just appreciating her and her being a part of this mission. And she texted me back later saying, actually, I really want to do more with this. Can we schedule a time to talk? So we did. From there, we scheduled some times to connect, got to work, and now she's a hair away from her next promotion. So that's fun. Another call stands out that we called a woman who has a severely disabled child, and she didn't know. We just, through that call, discovered that she didn't know her son could be getting Juice Plus because he's on a feeding tube. So Dr. C was able to, explain how we just can open up the capsules and he still can benefit from all this great nutrition, and how rewarding to hear her, right? I know, Dr. C, you remember this call. I know she was like, she has these dreams of traveling with her child, but his health is so severely compromised that she's not able to do it yet. So, I just love that we could brainstorm solutions with her and have that conversation with her together.
Well,
Yeah.
and again, talking about the three-way call, as we are going to run out of time here in just a minute. And thank you so much, Janae, and Dr. C as well. And we could talk about three-way calls for quite some time, because if you think about it, it's really just kind of loving on people. Okay, I guess you would say it's making that relationship and that friendship stronger. Really what we do is build friendships. And in building friendships, we help to support and share with people what can make a difference in their lives. And, you heard Dr. Corson's passion for both the product, children's need for it, but everybody's need for it. And then the passion for our business as well. And right now, I think that certainly we would all agree, people are lonelier, they're in fear. And for many reasons that are valid reasons. There's that concern about health and health issues. Some of them have to do with that are pandemic related, but some of them have to do just with the environment that we live in and the state of health that people are experiencing. We certainly, as we said, looking at things like inflation and all the things that are challenging today, we are more relevant than we've ever been in our history. And our company's 50 years old, 52 actually, 52 years old. But we're more relevant than we've ever been. So it's really, if you think about your story, that's all that's happening on these three-way calls or these gatherings in home. I would encourage you, and if you want to have a speaker today that comes on into your event, small event in your home, it doesn't have to fly across the country. It can come in on Zoom. The speaker can come in on Zoom right in your living room without having to have that person fly across the country. So the beauty is that we're all here to help each other. So what a three-way call is, or any event, whether it's small or large, or it's a big conference, it's just a way to create exposure for the story, and the story being the power of the product and the power of our business model. So if you listen to Janae and Dr. C, as she referred to her, and what they're doing is they're basically calling to create that support for people. And then they get the joy of, the person doing well on the product, congratulating them for that, inviting them to be, to partner with them in their business, to share that with others. And it could happen in a small lunch. It could happen in a one-on-one lunch. It could happen inviting somebody to your home. It could happen on a three-way call or Zoom. It's all the same thing. It's all someone, Janae bringing the people for Dr. C to come behind with the story. And as Dr. Corson said, you don't have to be a doctor. You just have to care about people. And I remember my sponsor, Jeff Roberti, saying, if you've been in this 30 minutes, you're 30 minutes older than the person that you brought to the call, okay? And so it's really all about your story. What got you? Why did the product make sense to you? You heard Candace tell you what got her. You heard Janae and the other speakers tell you why it spoke to their heart. That's all you have to know is the heart story. Why did the business speak to their heart? Did Dr. Corson not tell you, that passion for helping other people be able to make choices in their life, that she wanted to make the choice to stay home with her child, and this gave her the avenue to do that. So when she saw that avenue for herself, she could see it for so many others. And that's really what happens here is you see the avenue for yourself, and then it opens the door for you to open the door for so many other people. Now, we've been doing three-way calls for as long as I can remember, over the 35 years. It started that way. As a matter of fact, it actually didn't start that way because conference three-way calling came in about a year after I started, okay? So you had to have the person in the house with you on the other extension, which was a little difficult if they didn't live in your area. I was very excited when three-way call came in because it meant that I could work with my sponsor no matter where he was to tell the story. So it was very exciting. But I have recorded on MP3 file if anybody wants to hear the exact format of exactly how a three-way call goes, because what happens, as Janae said, she sits back and listens because it's learning time for her. She gets all that 21 years of experience that her sponsor has. And so she gets to hear that part. Dr. Corson takes over the part of being able to share the information, but then invite the person to either try the product, go on the product, or become part of the team as a partner. So that invitation comes from the person behind. So it's somebody coming behind you to not only train, but help you build. I've got all that on MP3 recording. If anybody would like to hear exactly how, we lay it out, because we all do the same thing, whether we're doing it on a three-way call, in an in-home presentation, in a big conference where, again, what you're going to hear is stories. So, and what happens over time, and we've talked about this often, is you not only build a business that brings you financial revenue, it brings you huge emotional revenue as well, which really money can't buy. I shared a story with I'd done a call right before this with a small team, which, we're all working at helping each other all the time. But I shared with them a story that, just only this week I realized. I have a number of national marketing directors, of course, in the organization. I think we're a little over 200 now. So I don't get to talk to everybody frequently, okay? And this girl was a nurse originally. She's one of our national marketing directors. And I remember her story when she started. She really wanted to be home with her children. I mean, it's what Candace had said. And she had a child that was in great danger because he had failure to thrive. And he was so severely allergic to peanuts that she said, she didn't know if he would come home when she sent him to school. It was so severe, And what she wanted that she couldn't afford was not only to stay home with her child and her children, to be the parent that was there, but for the child to have a service dog. And they cost somewhere around 25 to 30,000, and she couldn't afford that. So that was the first goal, was to get to national marketing director to get the service dog for the child. And so I happened to have her on the phone. And of course, I met this child when he was 6 years old, when she first started. And I don't realize time goes by. Okay. And so I said, well, tell me, how's your son doing? She says, oh, he's 20 years old now. And I said, what? How could he possibly be 20 years old? I just seem like we just. And so she went on to tell me, he not only did really well, he went from failure to thrive to thriving very well. They, of course, managed to get the help that he needed, not only the service animal, but his health greatly improved. And over time, he went on to graduate from high school and college, and has, he's in a career that he's very happy with. So, we are excited when we hear, the story as it starts, but sometimes to hear how the story progresses, I mean, it's just a wonderful feeling. And that's the thing that I think we all want to really be cognizant of, is that you will affect so many lives that you won't even realize, that you will make the kind of difference that will totally alter the child or the person's future in a way that couldn't possibly ever happen if it weren't for you. So I'm going to really invite you all to really have the courage to, get past all those feelings, and they're there for everybody. Like, is that person going to be interested? Are they going to think, what about me? What am I doing here? Or what do I know? I think it's time, especially at this point in our history and our world, that we really, just instruct ourselves that we have the courage to tell everybody we come across. And if they like it, great. And if they're not ready, that's okay too. Just tell the next one, tell the next one, tell the next one. Because there'll be a child who was not supposed to survive somewhere, that today has a career, has had a good life, will have a good life, because you had the courage to say, I'd like for you to talk to somebody and hear about what we have to offer, hear about our product, ask all the questions, join us, be part of our mission. You don't know whose life you'll totally change because you had the courage to do that. So I'm going to ask Janae one more question here before we close. When you invite people to speak to Dr. C, what do you say to them? Okay.
Yeah. So it depends obviously on where we're at in the conversation, but ultimately when I'm inviting them to speak with Dr. C, I tell them that I'd love for them to hear from the person who shared this information with me, just like I heard it, and just schedule a time from there. I tell them that she's a partner of mine in this, and would love to. I've told her about you. I'd love for you to hear just like I did.
And see, this is so important what she's just said. And I asked her again because realized I hadn't before, but also I want you to hear it, is I want you to hear from the person that told it to me. I want you to hear it just the way I heard it, because that takes it from, her being the one who needs to explain it to the person who shared it with her and what she heard. She's inviting the person to hear what she heard. She's not inviting her or insisting that she buy or that she, like the idea or any of those things. Just listen and hear what I heard. And then at that point it would be, and then we'll talk and you can tell me what you liked about what you heard. And I'll tell you what I liked about what I heard. So again, you don't have to do this alone. We all come behind each other to support and to grow. But it takes that courage to round those people up and put them in front of somebody who will tell the story for you and who will come behind you as your support, and change the life of people that you'll never, some of them you'll never hear about. I mean, here it is, that child was 6 years old and the story I remembered was the need they had. And even though they've been in my organization all these years, here it is, he's 20 years old now, and I find out it all went beautifully, so you'll be part of those kind of stories, and the people that you bring on will be part of those kind of stories. So again, we commission you with this mission tonight and invite you to be with us this coming Monday night. We will have Dr. Tamara Sachs. It's going to be a Zoom Monday night, Make It Happen Monday. You want to be with us for that. And that's going to be awesome information. Put as many people on that call possibly as you can. New people who'd be interested in knowing more about the Juice Plus product. And we'll also talk about team and team development. So that will start at 5 o'clock Pacific time, which is 30 minutes earlier than our regular Monday night call, but it's a special call. It's a Zoom call. So we'll see you then, and then we'll see you at conference.
8 p.m. Eastern, everybody, 8 p.m. Eastern. It's going to be so good. And Dr. Sachs is one of the most brilliant MDs I've ever met, and I've met a lot. She is brilliant. She is articulate. She cares. People learn so much when they are listening. And this is a brand new talk that she's put together. I can't wait to hear it. It's about protecting our power pack of every cell, which is our life energy. It's our longevity. It's everything. And that's called the mitochondria. And she's going to talk about that. She makes it accessible to not only healthcare people, think of them, anybody you know. Like I'm thinking of a certain pharmacist, Barbara, your daughter. I've just thought of that, Barbara Hood. But any layperson will love it, and she makes it accessible. I'm so excited. So it's next Monday at 8 Eastern on Zoom. We've got the flyer, and we'll get it out to everybody again.
So that's an invitation from one brilliant doctor asking you to listen to another brilliant doctor. Okay. Good night, everyone. Thank you, Dr. Corson, and all the team, and Janae, and all of you.
Thank you, Cheryl.
Thank you so
guys.
much. Thanks,
you,
Cheryl.
guys.
Janae,
Thank you
Barbie.
so
Thank
much.
you. I appreciate
Night,
you all.
everybody.
Thank you.
Good
Take
night.
Have a
care.
wonderful